welcome to the Three Not So Wise Men. I'm Jack.
I'm Krais.
And I'm Austin.
So this is the next episode of our mainline series. We last episode spun and got the prompt, create your own Disney platform fighter. And we left it at that, so the rest of it's up to interpretation.
For those of you who don't play a whole lot of video games or know the difference between different fighters, a platform fighter is essentially Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
Or Super Smash Bros, I should say. It's a bunch of IP characters that come together and they try to knock each other off the platform and be the last one standing.
Yeah.
That is a platform fighter.
Yeah. Thank you for specifying that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's essentially that. It's a bunch of characters trying to stay on a platform.
Some of them have story modes, some of them don't. It's really up to the game.
Yeah. So I guess the next thing to do would be to talk about any platform fighters or Disney experience we want to talk about that we want to bring up before going into this.
Yeah.
Austin?
Sure, I can go first. So, my experience with platform fighters is relatively new. I played a little bit of Smash Bros. Like once per year while I was in high school, and that's only we would do it after musical cast parties. But I hadn't really played a whole lot, and then the platform fighter I played the most of was Multiverses during its beta phase, and I played a lot of it now. Or I played a lot of it then, and then I still play it every now and then now since the official release. But yeah, that's kind of my experience with platform fighters. And then, of course, Disney. There's a lot of different ways we can go with Disney. Yeah. We can just do Disney Pixar characters. We can do the Marvel Star Wars ones. Or if you really want to, you can even incorporate some of the stuff that they bought from Fox a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And so Disney just has a wide variety of franchises that lends itself to a platform fighter. And frankly, I'm kind of surprised that Disney doesn't have a platform fighter already, because it feels like that should be an easy slam for them.
Yeah,
I believe they just made like a racing game, but that's like the only thing they've.
Yeah, that's like their Mario Kart thing.
Yeah, that's like the only thing similar to.
I played it. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
I had fun with it.
I will say I think there is one like exception, but it's not really a platformer, and it's Kingdom Hearts. Because Kingdom Hearts is a fighter, but it's not like a it's an
RPG.
It's an RPG,
yeah.
not a.
Yeah. Whereas like fighter games, you're like specifically putting characters to fight against each other.
Yeah.
And you can typically do that with multiplayer.
Yeah, and you can kind of include Disney Infinity, but I really wouldn't call it a fighter at all.
Yeah, I mean, except for their one play set,
yeah,
which was called Marvel Battlegrounds, which was only the Marvel characters fighting each other.
Yeah. And
that was one of my favorite play sets from the Disney Infinity franchise.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the closest they've really gotten to it is the ones we just talked about. But yeah.
Krais, anything with Disney or platform fighters as a whole that you want to reflect on?
Well, in terms of platformers as a whole, one of the very first games that I ever got as a child was Mario Bros. So I'm very familiar with platformers.
Well, not platformers, platform fighters.
Platform fighters.
So probably not Smash or Super Mario Bros, but like focused on Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, I've never been like a big fighter game, but like when it comes to I like platform fighters, just because I'm more of a platform guy myself. But like I love playing Super Smash Bros. That's a very popular one. My main is Donkey Kong, as always, and I guess this kind of counts, but someone among the three of us has started to wrap me into Mortal Kombat games, making me play because no one else is good enough. And even then, I get my ass handed to me most of the time.
I will say, though, I should mention this, I'm typically more of a 2D fighter kind of guy, so like Mortal Kombat is one of my favorite fighting franchises. And then also I should have mentioned when I play Smash Bros, I am a Little Mac main. And then with Multiverses, I'm a Shaggy main.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just kind of like
they both sound like
I kind of like the more all-around close-up fighters.
Yeah.
Like with a little bit of distance that you can use.
Oh, well, I guess my main for Multiverses would be Finn from Adventure Time.
Yeah. For me, I'm not going to go into Disney. I feel like we all have talked about things with like our past with Disney. I feel like in the first episode I did a good bit of that because a few of mine were like some of my favorite movies were like more childhood ones.
Yeah, some Krais' top 5 were on Disney movies too.
Yeah, but for platform fighters, probably the game I played the most growing up. Actually, no. The most outside of the Battlefront games where I played with my best friend growing up, which I've talked about before. The one I played at with most different people was Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii, which I still believe is the best Super Smash Bros.
As do much people in the fighting game community. Like, I know I've seen a lot of people in polls online that's referred to Smash Bros. Brawl to be the best, like, gameplay-wise ones. Obviously, everyone points to the Ultimate, which is the newest one, as the best one for roster-wise. Cause,
it is.
Yeah, it's the big-ass roster, which had every character ever.
I also really liked the art style for Brawl. If you look at it, it's a lot more graphic novel-esque. It's also a lot darker. It's just, I really liked the art style. I still like it way more than, like, we're not going to see anything like it on the Switch, I feel like. But that was the one, I really loved it. I don't think I've even played Multiverses once yet.
Keyword yet.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm not a platformer. I don't like platform games. I like platform fighters if they're characters I care about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. Like, that's really all I have to say. I played a lot of Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Loved it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right.
Cool. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah. So the reason why I like Super Smash Bros. Brawl is it wasn't just the fighting. I mean, obviously that was the main thing, but it also had a story mode and it had a lot of different game modes that I really enjoyed as well.
Mm-hmm.
That Ultimate does not have.
And I think that's a key thing that we're all going to have to focus on when we do this Disney platform fighter, is that we're going to have to come up with a good reason for them to
why they're meeting up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think the roster will take up a lot of our time, but game modes is, I think, something we all are going to take a very different approach to.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
All right. Anything else?
Let's do it!
I'm worried about the time limit on this one. I haven't been in the past ones, but this one I am.
All right. And our 30 minutes start now. And we're back.
Oh, goodness.
Fuck
I was right when I said that this was being the most stressful time constraint.
Fuck me.
There's way too many options.
Yeah, there's a lot. And, that's what I'm worried about mine, because mine is very full.
I think we just all needed to figure out what we focused on.
Mm-hmm.
I think and then you could focus on a lot of different things. So I think,
yeah, there's so many different ways you could do this.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough that I already had some sort of script that had a format for how I would do this.
Oh.
So it helped me with organization, at least.
Gotcha. My thing was like organizing and looking specific things up.
Yeah, well,
like
mine was so broad,
mm-hmm.
I had a lot to choose from, and I had to like pick and choose everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, whew, this was a little interesting.
Yeah. All right. I think we should just get into it.
Yeah.
All right.
No first comments, but yeah, going.
Let's see.
Spin the wheel.
Who's going first?
I can feel it about to happen.
Krais, you predicted the future. You are first.
I hate this ability of mine.
All right.
Wait, what's gonna happen next? Who's gonna get second?
You're gonna spin the wheel and it's gonna be you.
All right, let's see.
You're wrong.
Well, holy shit.
Dang it. Okay.
That is interesting. Krais, do I win the lottery in my future?
Not before you get brutally
No, you get mugged and brutally hurt, and then you win the lottery, and that's how you pay for your medical bills.
Ah, yeah, that sounds about right.
right.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, Jack, that makes you third. Hey, you're not second.
Yeah.
You're not second. Yay!
All right. Well, I say let's get into this.
Yeah,
Krais,
I was about to say, who's first?
go.
Okay.
Just go, dude.
Just go.
Right.
Or else. Alright. I had a hard time with this one, as I'm sure everyone did.
Yep.
Mostly because when trying to pick out a roster, I just looked up Disney characters, and it decided, oh, you want every single character. So it was giving me characters that only appeared in like one thing in one show that only had one season.
Yeah.
You just remind me, I didn't put I didn't put a character I wanted in from a TV show.
Well, you can't do that now.
I know.
No altercations. But I basically wrote down a list of characters that I think would be. I'll start with the roster and then I'll go further in depth. But I wrote down a list of characters that I thought would be interesting to see in a fighter above all else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just going down the list: Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, Minnie, Daisy, and Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they would be like your starting roster. Okay, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy you would get like at the beginning. Pluto would be like the first character you can unlock.
Mm-hmm.
Minnie and Daisy you find later, and then Pete just kind of like joins the group at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I also have Snow White and the Dwarves, Beast, Gaston, Rapunzel, Merida, Moana, Maui, and Elsa.
Question: How does Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs work as a character?
Oh, she is the fighter, but her attacks are the dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
Explain how that works. Are the dwarves?
So, have you played Princess Peach in Ultimate?
A little bit.
Okay, basically Toad is one of her attacks. Like she can bring Toad out as a shield, I think.
So they just like kind of are summoned and appear.
Yeah, they summon and appear beside her and help her with her attacks.
As opposed to just being around. I think like.
So is it like certain dwarfs do certain abilities, or is it like random which dwarf comes up?
It's certain dwarves do certain abilities.
Okay.
Like Grumpy would be the main attack where he's just
standard, yeah.
Yeah, standard.
Pressing A.
I'm assuming Doc would probably be some sort of healer.
Yeah. Like they all do different things, but Snow White is the fighter, but her attacks are the dwarves.
Yeah.
Which I thought was creative.
Yeah.
There's also Woody, Buzz, Jesse, and Rex
Mm-hmm.
from Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
I had Hercules in here.
Yep.
Sully and Mike, which
Are they a combined character?
it's a combined character.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to get as many as I could, but also certain characters didn't make sense to be on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is Mike going to do on his own?
Scream.
Yeah. And I feel like that would be a cool, shield
Yeah.
that he could just, scream and stop an attack.
I see Solo picking him up and holding him up in
Yeah.
front, and then Mike just flailing his arms. So.
Yeah. Randall as well from Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
I actually I'm gonna save that one for later. Simba,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought would be a cool one.
Yeah.
And then this is another one that's a duo that I thought would be cool. Mr. Incredible and Violet,
Oh, okay.
and then Elastigirl and Dash.
Okay.
They're two different fighters,
Mhm.
and one of them just has one of the kids.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting way to do the Incredibles.
Yeah, just so you don't waste 2 extra slots on Violet and Dash.
Yeah.
When Dash isn't as versatile as Violet, but
Mhm.
anyways,
I've got an important question.
what?
Is Jack in there?
No.
Dang it. All right.
If Jack was in here, I didn't think about Jack,
No,
which is upsetting.
Yeah.
I consider Jack.
If Jack was with someone, he would be with Frozone.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Okay.
Frozone and Jack, which I think is a hilarious duo. But I didn't write that down, so that's not an official.
I do Jack in Edna mode.
That I agreed. Just
Yeah.
for the second one.
It looks fabulous, darling.
But I don't have Jack
Yeah.
or Edna, so that's not an official
yeah, that's
part
that's
of my
my
prompt.
first note for you. Add Jack.
Yeah, sorry, I
You're good.
totally forgot he
You're
existed.
good. Time constraints.
Tron, which I thought
Mhm.
would be a cool one to add.
Yep.
Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones, those are 2 separate ones.
Yep.
Hero and Baymax, those are separate.
Mm.
Peter Pan and Captain Hook,
Mhm.
again separate. Vanellope and Wreck-It Ralph,
Mm-hmm.
which
Ooh.
I couldn't decide if I wanted them to be one character or 2 characters.
Mhm.
I think it would make more sense if they're 1 character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to give I was trying to think of some other fighters for newer generation Disney movies, and the only ones that were coming to mind were Maribel and Luisa from Encanto.
Mm-hmm.
No one else made sense. I mean, you could probably throw in Raya, but I know nothing about Raya,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of
She knows how to use the sword.
Yeah.
Good enough.
yeah, I just tossed her out. And I also like the idea of DLC characters like Ultimate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so the DLC ones that I like would be the Genie,
Mm-hmm.
Agent P, and Stitch.
Wow.
I'm
you're not putting
surprised
Stitch
Stitch-
DLC, not a starting roster?
And just
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very surprising coming from you.
Yeah.
yes, I didn't really go into it because I didn't want to take the time to classify each one.
Mhm.
But there would also be variations in multiverses, like how there's the Bruiser, the Tank.
Yeah.
Okay, but there were I did write some of them down with the symbols Pete and the Beast would be
Bruisers.
yeah,
brawlers.
like bruisers, tanky ones,
Mhm.
and then yeah, that was pretty much it. I just because I'm a bulky character when it comes to these games, I just picked. I thought about that.
Yeah.
So I think I'll talk about the modes next because it explains locations.
Mhm.
So I wanted a campaign in mind.
Mhm.
Okay, I just think a campaign just makes a fighter game goes a lot smoother in my opinion.
Mhm.
And like you said at the beginning, you need a reason to explain why are these all getting together? Why are these characters all getting together? And my thought process was, I like the idea that the Walt Disney Castle is being invaded.
Mm.
And so the characters are basically going around the entire park,
Okay.
collecting other characters and stopping bad guys.
Oh, okay.
So basically the campaign would be open world kind of. There you could see like the map around you,
Mhm.
and you can go around and try to like stop enemies from attacking certain exhibits.
Mhm.
So like I wasn't able to go too far into depth into this one, but I think Splash Mountain's a popular one. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you could go to Splash Mountain and you could stop bad guys. Like when you beat the boss at that location, you gain a new character.
Yeah.
And there's also like the normal fighter mode, which is typically more like a platform fighter.
Yeah.
But in the campaign, I really like the idea of it being a hack and slash fighter game
Mhm.
for the campaign alone.
Okay.
And then you could get into like platform fighting in the main part of the game. So there's a bit of everything for everyone.
Question for the hack and are you talking about like a top down like Hades, or are you talking about like something like a Metroid where you're going through you're still platforming, or like Super Smash Bros. Where you're still platforming but you're fighting your way through?
It's not really top down.
Are you thinking just like Mortal Kombat style slashing, or like I'm very confused what you mean by the slashing?
The hack and slash?
Yeah.
It's more of like I'm trying to think of something that you guys would have played that is similar.
Or you can just list the game and we can look it up as well.
Here, just look up
Hack and slash games. I'll look it up.
look up Zelda Age of Calamity. That's the one I'm taking inspiration from.
You go around. It's generally top down, so you go around and you fight hordes
Okay.
of enemies with super powerful abilities. That's
Okay.
yeah. I thought so, but
It's a little bit more 3D, but also I like the idea. But when you're in the boss fight, it is like it's a 2D platformer. So it switches from 3D to 2D in certain points. Yeah, it's open world hack and slash. You have to get through hordes of enemies to get to certain locations, and then when you would fight boss fights, it would be more of a traditional platform fighter. I just thought that was an interesting. That would be interesting. But yeah, like I said, the enemies are like invading the park and different locations, and you would have to go around collecting new characters for the main roster. And when you get to a certain point, yeah.
So who are the bad guys you're talking about?
It's just like normal. Like
Are they like Disney villains or
no,
are they
they're
something
not.
else?
The Disney villains are working with the main characters.
That's what I was thinking.
But the main bad guys are just like faceless goons. It's not really like, oh, it's some evil threat. No, it's I didn't like the idea of it being like, oh, it's some like named evil being. It's just like these weird like. I actually took my thought process. I did think of here. Do you remember in the last episode, or not the last episode? In a previous episode, I talked about Disney Universe.
Yeah.
The enemies were these like robots-looking guys, and I like the idea of it. And that's kind of what I was thinking when I was thinking about like the enemies that they would have to fight through. It was just these faceless characters that they would have to just do damage to. But yeah. And so, for locations, since the whole place takes place in like the park, I was trying to like think of locations, but like this was when we had like 2 minutes left on the clock, so I wasn't able to get everything. But like the castle's location, Main Street, Adventureland, Tomorrowland. There's also but like also the like certain rides as well. Like Space Mountain, and I think that's everything I have.
Could you Okay, Jack, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I'm fine either way. Do you have something you want to
I
say
have
right
thoughts.
now? Okay.
Yeah,
go.
I had a feeling you would have
I
thoughts.
knew you would.
I'm telling you, I'm writing stuff down. Could you repeat the roster for me?
The roster?
Yes, please.
Not where I thought you were wanting to start.
I'll start with the roster.
Okay.
I'll start there.
Well, that's where you started, so that's where I'll start.
Okay. Is there a specific person?
Just list the whole roster.
Okay, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, Minnie, Daisy, and Pete. Snow White and the Dwarves, Beast, Gaston, Rapunzel, Merida, Moana, Maui, Elsa, Woody, Buzz, Jessie, Rex, Hercules, Sully, and Mike. Randall, Stitch, Simba, Mr. Incredible, and Violet, Elastigirl and Dash. Frozone, Tron, Jack Sparrow, Davy Jones, Hero, Baymax, Peter Pan, Captain Hook, Ancient P, Vanellope, Wreck-It Ralph, Genie, Maribel, Louisa.
Okay, I like the roster. You have a good mix between everyone from good classic ones all the way up to the more recent ones, so I think that part's good.
Yeah, the roster was hard.
Yeah, and then could you repeat all the maps that you had again?
Oh, I don't have like specific spots, but like the ones that I have written down would be like Main Street, Tomorrowland, Frontierland, which is basically like the Western, the Castle, and Adventureland.
Okay, thank you. All right, then sticking with the maps, I like how you have very unique locations that I don't hear a whole lot, like Tomorrowland.
Mhm.
I know there was a movie that they tried to establish with, and it just didn't succeed. So, like, hearing spots like that, that's really cool. I do think that you probably need some more iconic locations. I'm assuming, like, I would take spots from the movies.
Mm.
Another thing is, like, a lot of the Disneyland attractions base their sections off those movies too.
Yeah.
So, like, you could have had a whole section map dedicated to Andy's room.
See, and I wanted to do that again, but this was like last minute. I was having trouble finding a map, but go on.
But yeah, I think overall, not bad. I think that the maps could have used a little bit more. I really like the setup that you have for the story about an invasion taking place at the Disney Castle, which I think that is a good one to try to bring everyone together. I'm not a big fan of the hack and slash approach for a platform fighter. If it was more based off like the 2D fighting, like a Mortal Kombat, maybe. But I feel like you should have gone more on like a platformer run for the platform fighter as a whole. So that way you're still sticking with that same kind of camera angle for the platform fighter. So instead you're just running across to get to a certain spot before you have the final fight. And I felt like that would have stayed more in line. So I personally am not a fan of the hack and slash part.
I knew you wouldn't like that.
Mm-hmm. And then Faceless Goons, I'm not a fan of that. I understand Faceless Goons for the hack and slash portion, and I feel like that would work just to get there because you're probably not going to fight the same guy over and over again. But I feel like you needed a more iconic or a more developed name for the main villain that you fight for the boss fights, especially since you made all the villains teammates. Instead of having them being like sub-bosses, I feel like that portion needed to be fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, and wasn't a fan of that. Overall, not bad. Not my favorite, but you did stuff that you wanted to, and you should be proud of that part.
Well, also, this...
Oh, also, though, one final thing. I was very surprised that you have Stitch as a DLC character. I figured you would put Stitch right up front and be the main marketing poster. Color me shocked.
Yeah. I will say, before we started recording, I was like, okay, I need to be thinking about it. I need to be thinking of an idea. And the hack and slash idea came to me earlier. And because in my head, I forgot it was a Disney platform fighter. My thought was it's a Disney fighter game. So I was just looking up fighter games and hack and slash came up and I was like, oh, a hack and slash game would be pretty cool, I think. But, yeah. I had other thoughts for it, but they were more pertaining to the hack and slash portion. But
I gotta jump off. I don't think I know you forgot that it was platform fighter, but I also disagree with there shouldn't be any hack and slash parts of it. Like you can have kind of like what Metroid has, where you're still on a platform, but it's like a laid out level.
And like a lot of old DS games do the same thing. Like when I played Spider-Man Friend or Foe, or not Friend or Foe, Shattered Dimensions or edge of time. They're just running across platforms, and you have to jump to get up on platforms and stuff. I feel like that portion, if you did that, and then you're fighting up faceless goons along the way to get to a boss, that would have worked a lot better in your favor.
Yeah, and even like Super Smash Bros. Has like kind of like that levels where you're like going throughout different spots. It's really just one platform that's moving, but they kind of had that. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, that's my main note on that. I really like the park idea though, that you're at the Disney park. I think you'd have a hard time like adding new stuff out, like having a more solid reason to add new stuff. Like for DLCs, I think you can just like say like, here's a DLC with these characters and you just unlock them. But it'd be hard to like add a story to it because you've established that the park is here, and then once you beat the thing, like adding more to it would be a little confusing, unless Disney adds an actual thing to their park, which it's not like, coming out with a DLC for a video game. But I do really like the idea of something storming the Walt Disney Castle. I really like that idea. And yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to add to that. Austin voiced a lot of what I had.
Yeah.
Also, Stitch is not in the base game. Like, I know we're giving you... I'm looking at your laptop. Stitch is the biggest sticker on the back of it.
And you've said time and time again that Stitch is your favorite Disney character.
Yeah.
And it's just baffling that you didn't put him in the base roster.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not the first, outside of once you get past Mickey.
Yeah, once you get Mickey, I was like, Mickey's obviously given the first one, because I'm assuming you have Mickey in yours as well.
Yeah. But after that, I'm surprised you have... Stitch isn't the first, like...
He is towards the bottom on my list, if I'm being honest.
I'm surprised.
And the reason why I made...
And, like, that's not a big complaint against your game as a whole. That's just more of a surprise knowing you.
Yeah. Well, I was also like... It felt weird just to kind of throw him in there when I have all these groups of characters, and he's just as one of the standalone characters that I was like, yeah, he's a DLC. He's something people would want, and, he would be a nice surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my prompt. May have not have been exactly what the wheel wanted, but the wheel is not my god.
Yeah, we've all... I mean, I've definitely gone against it.
You went against it last time.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't do exactly that. We have all had that. I don't know if you have, Austin.
I like to stick to it.
Yeah, you might have one.
I might, but my goal is to try to make the best one as I do. Like, that's my kind of philosophy in general. Is like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna try to make it the best I can.
Yeah.
And I think that just helps me creatively as well.
Yeah.
But with that, I guess I should continue unless we have anything else for Krais.
I got nothing else for Krais personally.
All right, we'll go to me then. So for my Disney platform fighter, the synopsis for it is Disney characters face off in the ultimate celebration of Disney's IP. Play as characters from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and 20th Century Studios. So I'm kind of going with the multiverses approach where it's a celebration of all of WB's properties, not just Looney Tunes and Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
So with that, the total amount of players that you can have will be 6. It'll be a 1 to 6 player game. And we're going to try to shoot for a good cross-platform between PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And then assuming Switch 2 once that releases, because I really like good graphics engines and a large roster, so I would like it to run at a good speed.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not on the current Switch.
Yeah.
Especially since as more and more games these days are not releasing very good on Switch if they're not specifically designed for the Switch.
Yeah.
My story plot is very thin, but what I want is the Disney universe is brought into chaos when Jafar and Thanos team up to make reality theirs. So Jafar using his magic and Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. With the mix of magic and Infinity Stones, their friends become foes, and some foes become friends, and the worlds kind of just collide. So some of the main modes that we'll have in the game is like we'll have the campaign where you fight as your favorite Disney IP characters in an epic story that crosses through it. And then you can also play this co-op with a partner. So 2 players total. But it's not going to be required to play with 2 players. And again, full cross-platform and everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be a versus mode where you go head-to-head against your opponents locally or online in various game modes. And I will have a list of versus game modes, but I'll get through all the main modes first. And then you can play against other players, or if you want, you could add bots. So that way you can spice and change up how many characters are on the map. Boss Rush, you can work together with up to 4 people total to play through all the boss fights in the game. And difficulty will be adjusted depending on how many players you have, as well as having a normal, easy, medium, hard difficulty. And yeah, I feel like that'd just be a fun way to speed run through the game. And obviously all the boss fights in the game mode would have different features or gimmicks that help differentiate each boss fight. For the versus modes, we'll have classic free-for-all, just normal stock fighting, just try to be the last one with most of your lives left. There will be team brawl, so you can do 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s. Or if you really want, you can even make the teams unbalanced if you would like. There will be a tournament mode, so you get to create brackets and just, set up a normal tournament bracket depending on how many characters you want, and you can fill it up with as much people as you want or bots. There's a King of the Hill mode, so we'll have a lineup, and you stay as the king and win. You either win as the king by beating everyone else in the lobby on the same health bar, so you can't get eliminated, or you just keep doing it until someone dethrones you, and then they have to go through everyone on the field. Typical King of the Hill game mode.
Yeah.
So here's the portion I know you're all waiting for: the roster. I have a total of 39 characters, so pretty massive game.
Yeah.
I will say right now it would have been 41, but I definitely forgot the 2 I forgot to mention were Perry the Platypus, who I knew I wanted. And I was going to make Phineas and Ferb a duo character similar to the Ice Climbers.
Gotcha.
But starting off with the Disney characters, I have Mickey Mouse, obviously, Donald Duck, Aladdin, Mulan, Judy Hopps from Zootopia, Stitch, Rapunzel, Elsa, Moana, Peter Pan, Kronk, and Jack Sparrow. For Pixar, I have Merida, Sully, Buzz Lightyear, Mr. Incredible, and Elastigirl. For Marvel, I have Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, She-Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, the Kate Bishop version, and Wolverine. Going to Star Wars, I have Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia, and Ahsoka Tano.
Which Obi-Wan? Just curious.
It'd be Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith era.
I was just curious.
Yeah. 20th Century Fox, or just 20th Century Studios now, I would have Neytiri from the Avatar franchise, the Predator, and the Xenomorph from the Alien franchise. Since I feel like those are the 3 biggest franchises under the 20th Century Studio. And then I have a separate section for the villains, and I know Darth Vader is a villain, depending on how you look at the Predator and Xenomorph. Yeah. But I kind of just threw them under those franchises because, big icons for them.
Yeah.
And so the villains I have are obviously Jafar and Thanos, Ursula, Captain Hook, Loki, Gaston, Hades, and Davy Jones.
Yep.
And obviously, if I had more time, I probably would have put more somewhere else. Moving on to my maps, I have Cinderella's Castle, or the Disney Castle, Radiator Springs, the Black Pearl, Emperor's Palace from Mulan. I called this map Lantern Lake, which is just
Rapunzel.
It's from Tangled, because I don't think it has an official name besides the lake. But I figured it'd be a cool map to have the fighters be on the boats, jump in between them, and then you just have the nice music playing in the background, and then you just got the lantern sky. And that's another reason why I was hoping for a better engine, because you could see the lantern reflections in the water, and I just felt like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
The ballroom from Beauty and the Beast, I feel like that's a little too iconic to miss. The Cave of Wonders from Aladdin, the Louisiana Swamp from Princess and the Frog, the house from Encanto, the floating house from Up, and I like this idea is if you jump up towards the roof and you start popping balloons, the house will start to fall down, and then the characters will pop up, and just you got to readjust.
Yeah, gravity gets weird.
Avengers Tower, the Daily Bugle, the Death Star, Mustafar, and Pandora from Avatar.
Nice. And
I figured with Pandora, you could be on some of the tall trees, and then you could see some of the cool aliens flying in the back.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe see some more Na'vi jumping around in the background. But yeah, I have some ideas behind some of the maps and moves if you want to ask about those. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what I had. I kind of focused on getting a lot of the IP in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as well as just a couple fun game modes to play.
Mhm.
Because what I really wanted to focus with for this one was just fun time, kind of get like that Smash Bros. Vibe that you normally get with normal Smash Bros. It's like, hey, let's just get a group of friends together and let's just play this and have fun.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
You can go first.
All right. I think you did a really good job of getting all of the IPs in there. Like especially with like the Xenomorph and Predator. I think this game would like sell out like right away.
Mm-hmm.
Not sell out, but you know what I mean.
Like, yeah, I figured I would make it like a teen game, not an E10.
Yeah.
Just because if it's teen, you can push it a little bit. It's with the violence.
Yeah.
And Disney used to have some really dark moments, and they're still willing to go dark in some spots. Yeah. And I figured that'd be pretty helpful in the story mode, as well as having a good reason to put Predator and Alien in there, and still keeping it, appropriate for everyone else.
Yeah, I think this would be a game that'd be hard to find on the shelves for the first couple weeks it's out. But yeah, I really like it. You fleshed everything out. I think the time constraint is killing all of us, I think. Mm-hmm. I think we could have added a lot more worlds and such into with characters into it. I like that you picked your main villains, and I think you picked them very well, since you had Marvel and Star Wars and all these other ones.
Yeah, I chose not to put Star Wars in there. Like, I didn't feel like putting Palpatine in there as a character.
Yeah.
And Vader's he's not hell-bent on domination.
No, he's, yeah.
And so I was like, I feel like the ones who kind of want to conquer everything or create the world in their image would be Jafar and Thanos. So I feel like those two would be good primary ones.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you just... this is my note for all your stuff, but you fleshed it out really well because you go for the best pitch. That's your main goal we just talked about with these. I think you did great. I just wanted to see more stuff, but obviously more worlds, more characters. But obviously
I have almost 40 characters on here. What do you want more?
I know it's just Disney has so much right now.
Yeah,
I think it's a great starting. If this came out and then with the announcement of we're adding more with DLCs, I think it'd be great I think you'd be golden. But yeah, I think if we just had more time, you could do more and flesh out more.
And my biggest complaint against myself on this would be, I wish I was able to put more the Disney princesses in there, but I wasn't sure how to do attacks for Belle, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella.
Yeah.
I really liked Krais' idea from his pitch about Snow White using the dwarves kind of like Princess Peach. So that's actually a good one, which I would probably steal and put for DLC.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, that's probably my biggest complaint about that, and just I'm kind of mad at myself I didn't jot down Phineas and Ferb on there, because obviously I would have had them as characters as well as maybe Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated as a location.
Yeah, that's a DLC.
Yeah,
great.
Going off of Jack, I really like how diverse it is. I think you did a really good job of fleshing everything out as best as you could. In the 30 minutes is not enough time to do everything. Personally, I don't like that you added the 20th Century Fox stuff. I'm not a big fan of the whole Predator and Alien being a part of it. I think it's cool for what it is, but personally, if I wouldn't want to play the game, I don't think it's my cup of tea. But I think it's a really good game, and I agree with Jack. It would sell really well with a lot of people. I just don't think it would sell well with me.
And even then, 20th Century doesn't have a whole lot. It has one map and 3 characters.
Yeah.
That's all it has, and it's still relatively new to the Disney banner.
Yeah.
Because they only bought them back in 2019. Couldn't do anything because of COVID in 2020. And that just kind of pushed things to 2021. And even then, I don't think they released... I think they released some of the whatever they had ready once they bought Fox. But as of new stuff under them, they've had a Predator movie, which went straight to Hulu, which was actually really good. And then they just now have an Alien movie coming up.
Yeah.
And then obviously Avatar came out last year? No, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was really good.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing.
I don't know. In my head, it's just jarring to think of Predator standing next to Mickey Mouse. And it would look more like a fan. I mean, it is a fan game, but
I mean, how jarring is it to see Mario right up against Steve from Minecraft?
Yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah.
But
that's my point. It's you have Mario going up against Solid Snake.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
From Metal Gear, so it's honestly, let's put Mickey Mouse up against a xenomorph.
Yeah, I really like that you have those guys in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice, and I commend you for going bold and adding everything. It's not my cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea for having 3 small things.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I really think that you would buy this. You're just trying to find something against me because I hated your pitch.
No, that's not it. It's just
I feel like you would buy it. It'd just be like maps and characters you wouldn't pick. Overall.
Yeah, that's what I think it would end up being.
No, I just...
Because I don't even have the 20th century stuff as like part of the main villain list either. It's just like they're there. They just be like additional.
I just
characters.
don't think it's a selling point for you.
I'm not making myself clear, apparently. When you say Disney platform fighter, I do not think of 20th Century Fox or Marvel or for Star Wars. I like that you added them. It's just personally, I don't think they should be in a Disney platformer game. I get it that they own the companies now, but...
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, that makes it more clear.
Yeah,
because the way you were just targeting the 20th century one,
No.
I was like, it sounds like you should just not worry about that small section.
Yeah.
Especially since it's the smallest section.
I would have said the Marvel and DC stuff, but also, on the other hand, it would have just sounded like, I hate everything about this game. No, I don't hate everything about the game. It's just, in my head, it needs to be a Disney platformer fighter, not a Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, 20th Century Fox fighter.
I basically went off everything that they have on Disney Plus, and I did pull up Disney Plus when you did my research.
Yeah.
Okay, Jack.
So my thing is, I knew Krais would focus more on worlds and characters. I knew Austin would go more off of game modes and mechanics and such as well. I thought you would add Marvel and not DC, Star Wars, Marvel and Star Wars. Honestly, so basically, when I think Disney platform fighter, I don't think Marvel or Star. I also don't like the idea of them being in there. If they're in there, I want to play them, of course. But I personally would like to see like a platform fighter where it's just like Disney and Pixar, and then I'd like to see another one where it's like the whole thing. I think they should be 2 separate games, and then the Disney one's like E10, and then we have like Austin's game where it's like teen, where they can get a lot more into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have it as Disney and Pixar, basically just those. And I didn't write out a roster, and I didn't write out worlds because I focused entirely on the story. Because I knew if I started with a roster, but there were so many characters, and I couldn't pick which ones I wanted, and I felt like I was spending way too much time on that. In the first 5 minutes, I was like, that's not what I want to do with my pitch. What I want to do is have a campaign. So we have our main game modes where it's basically what we can find in Super Smash Bros. Where you can customize. You have all the maps and characters unlocked in this versus game mode. It can be up to, I had it as 4 people you could play with online, locally, cross-platform, all that. Mm-hmm. Because I really wanted that freedom, but I also wanted a story mode. And Super Smash Bros. Brawl had one as well. It obviously wasn't the main focus. But it was there, and I really liked it. And I kind of stole a lot of ideas from it, as well as from Kingdom Hearts. Just this kind of like how it went, because that's all I could really think of in the amount of, that's all I could really flesh out. And it really wasn't much. So basically, I just have the levels and how they interact. And then I had ideas for DLC, characters to come out in DLCs, but I have my own thoughts on how that would work. But I didn't have time to write it down. But we'll get to that in a bit. So basically what it starts out with is you follow Tinkerbell. Peter Pan has gone missing, and she doesn't know what happened to him. And I chose Tinkerbell because I was trying to think of different Disney and Pixar characters who travel to other worlds. And the only one I could think of the only one I could really think of was Peter Pan going from Never Never Land to the real world. So I just ended up choosing Tinkerbell and Peter Pan's gone missing because she's a lot more loyal to him than he is to her.
Damn.
That's
wow.
It's a major story point.
See a Wendy on the side? How scandalous, Peter.
Yeah.
You make it sound like he's going to stick a knife in her back.
No, I just think...
I was just thinking scandalous like he's seeing someone else.
No, if Tinkerbell went missing, Peter Pan would not be in a rush to find her until much later. He wouldn't feel like it was urgent at all. Tinkerbell would feel like it's urgent if Peter Pan went missing.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was a plot point in Hook.
In Hook?
The movie with Robin Williams. Was it? There was one version where that was a plot point.
Not in Hook.
I don't think.
Anyway. So
I think he looks around for Tink a little bit, just because she kind of just dropped him back off in Netherlands, and he has no idea what's going on anymore.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, go on.
Getting too sidetracked.
As always.
Yeah. Basically, what she does is she uses the pixie dust starts acting weird ever since he starts going missing. So the opening scene is basically her looking around, and I was considering voice acting with this, but probably not. It'll probably just be subtitles. And I don't know how they do Tinkerbell because she doesn't talk in Peter Pan.
She talks in the Tinkerbell movies though.
Yeah, so they might do that. I might do something like that, but
and in Hook.
Yeah, there's different versions, but I'm thinking of like the original Peter Pan movie is what I'm going off of.
Gotcha.
But she does talk in other things, but yeah. So basically, we get the exposition. Peter Pan's gone. Maybe she's just looking around and he's not there or something. And anyway, her bag of pixie dust starts glowing or something, and she drops it, and two portals open up. One Mickey Mouse appears from, and the other one is a customizable character that you get to make, kind of like what you do with the Mii's in Super Smash Bros, where there's like limited, like you can change your appearance, but there's limited moves you can choose, and there's different classes, and that's pretty much it. But I like the idea of, if we're going into a Disney World, I like to have my own character as an option. You'll probably stick with them for like the first little bit. But then there's two other, I didn't write this down, but I'd like two other characters, probably Donald, Duck, and Goofy, to be there, because this campaign can be played online with up to 4 people total. Or you could just do it by yourself, and it just scales the power level based on how many people you have. So basically, you go through Neverland, fighting pirates, and then you have those options of those characters to play as. Tinkerbell you don't get to play as. She is not a playable character. And you go and Tinkerbell thinks Hook has something to do with that, and you go up and you fight Hook, and he doesn't know, and she's confused and doesn't understand why. And so she decides, okay, then this pixie dust is acting, we're going to go find him. So you get whisked away and you don't really get a choice. So the premise of the rest of this is you go to different worlds in each time, and all these worlds are spilling into each other, and you don't know what's going on at first. When you go through it, you have the choice of 3 characters from all the worlds you've unlocked before, and you can edit those at the end of each world, but there's always the option of 1 character from that world. Now that I've explained all that, let's basically go through the worlds. And I didn't write out a roster, I just had worlds, and then 1 specific character, and then just the rest of the characters from the rest of the worlds. So, after Neverland, you go to the world where Tangled is, and you help Rapunzel rescue Flynn Rider from some bandits who he double-crossed. Then you go to the Toy Story world, and you are trapped by Lotso and you have to escape. Each of these worlds, there's like 3 levels, 1 being the boss level. And then there's also like different, like, kind of, I call them puzzle fights, where like something's going on that can help, like you can just beat up the villain, or you can do something that'll help you beat it. So like maybe dropping like Playbox on Lotso or something like that. Then you go to Arendelle and fight with Elsa against some rogue snowmen because her magic is acting weird. Then you go to the Enchanted Forest, where you meet the classic Disney princesses, Cinderella, Snow White, Ariel, those ones. They're all in the same world. So during that, you find out Maleficent is trying to take over and conspiring with a being known as the Darkness. I didn't have time to flesh this out because I just didn't have time. Basically, it's this evil being. It's based off of the villain in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I think it's just the Hand or something like that.
Yeah, the Hand.
Yeah. That was a fun boss fight. But yeah, it's the Darkness. It's this shadowy being, and they're trying to control these worlds by capturing heroes and draining them of their like virtue, their heart, their will. What makes them heroes, and using it as a power source to conquer these worlds. That's what it is. But you find that out on the 5th world, and you use Snow White to beat Maleficent, and then to beat Maleficent in that. Snow White, I was thinking is kind of like a support type character. I was originally thinking of classes like brawler support type of thing as well, but I'm like, I don't have time for that. Then you go to Monsters Inc. and you help Mike save Sully, who is currently like actively being kidnapped. So like these like levels will be time based. Then you go to ancient Greece and you actually have to help Hades. You have to help convince Hades to help recruit Hercules. So I don't know. I wanted a twist in there where it wasn't like you team up with Hercules to try and convince Hades to fight this bad guy.
Yeah.
It's Hades realizes it's the threat, but he's reluctant to ask Hercules for help. And so you basically go with him, and as you beat these guys, Hades realizes it's more and more important to fight, or it's more and more important to ask Hercules, and at the end of it, they're like, yeah, you get a comedic scene. And how these play out, I think, is just literally like videos, or like clips, cutscenes, goodness. It's not like on the platforms, it's not anything. It's the characters standing in a world talking to each other. After that, you go to Agrabah and help Aladdin save the genie, who the darkness wants to steal power from, because he knows if he can get the genie, it's crazy powerful, like, Jafar did with Aladdin. Then, in the ninth one, you go to Hawaii, and there's a confused Mulan there. And the whole thing is you're trying to calm down Stitch, who's gone on a rampage because Lilo was taken. And like in these previous ones, we have like Merida and all these different characters from other worlds brought into these ones, and it gets more and more chaotic as you go. But I liked this one where you're trying to calm down Stitch, and then you recruit him. And then you finally go to the World Between on your 10th level. And it's a place that was created by the darkness to store all these heroes. And then you join my favorite character, the Pixar lamp.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect show character.
Yeah, I know. I was like, how do I put this guy in there for it to make sense? You go to a world where they're all taken, too. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I was losing you guys there until I said that. So basically what you do is you go through these insane fighting levels with crazy mechanics. Like, I was thinking like the Picto Chat world in Super Smash Bros. Where it's just like someone's drawing in the Picto Chat type of thing. Where it's just absolute insanity, and it can be, that. And then at the end of it, you go to a cutscene where you find the darkness about to drain all these heroes that were mentioned before of their virtue. But you show up, and the darkness gets scared, drains a few of them to the point where they're weak, and then he escapes through a portal. And then you go to the Dark World as the final boss level. You have the entire roster available to you, up to 4 people. And then this one will scale. You know what? This one will be... You'll have bots. So, when you fight the darkness and you save the worlds. But for the game modes, for the brawling, I was thinking like you could customize it as well. Like an ultimate where you can choose like the time, the stock, like health, all that kind of stuff. And then I didn't focus on the roster because I was like, I'm going to spend too much time with that. And then DLC characters I was wanting was like from The Incredibles would be one of the first ones. I didn't have time to write any of this down, so I'm going to leave it at that. But there'd be the DLCs they'd be cheap ones or free downloads. If it was like big, like popular characters, it might be like a $3 one for 5 characters or something like that. But I think a lot of it would be like it's a free download update, and then you have to unlock them through basically one fight, and they'd add like a quick cutscene beforehand. And then other game modes would be like story, where you use a certain character to fight a certain character in the same world, like using Aladdin to fight Jafar or something like that. I liked that idea as well. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to me.
Sure, I'll go first. Honestly, I really liked it. I really liked your story that you had for it, too. And I feel like you made up for not diving deep into the character roster, because with that assumption of who you're going up against in the story, that kind of fills in the spots of which characters you would be able to play as.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you stated this was how it's going to work, but I like to make this my little headcanon for it. What you do is when you recruit the character to your team, you unlock them as a playable character.
Yes. Sorry.
Like, I was just thinking, like, I could see that working out so well.
Yeah.
And it entices people to play the story mode.
Yeah.
Which I also really like how you have all these, like, Mulan going to Hawaii and being very confused.
Yeah.
And other characters showing up in these weird worlds to just be mixed matched.
Yeah.
I really like that idea. I thought that was very clever.
Yeah. So basically, after you beat a world, you have 3 slots available from any of the characters you've unlocked before, and you choose which 3, and then you move on to the next world, and then those 3, and then whatever the character you're helping out with are the options you have to play as. Is what it is in the story mode. And then for the normal mode, for the brawl mode, whatever you want to call it, you have an option to have the entire roster unlocked right off the bat, or you can basically play through the story and have it unlocked. Mm-hmm. So there'd be like the brawl mode where you unlock them as you play through the story, and then there's just probably free versus mode, where it's just anything's available right off the bat. Because some people aren't going to want to play the story, and I don't want to exclude. I don't want to.
I think a balance between that is just have them play a certain number of matches to unlock characters. Because, like I said, this old game that I would really like to see some sort of revival remake of, Marvel Nemesis. Yeah. You could play the story modes and unlock the characters and maps, but if you didn't do that, if you played like 15 matches, you unlock the next character.
Gotcha. I like that. Yeah.
Or map. And I feel like that'd be a good balance, because if you can just go straight to the free mode, that kind of removes that enticement.
Yeah. And I couldn't figure that part out. I didn't have time to think.
But I think what you have is really good. And then obviously the maps would be mentioned. I feel like you probably could have seen a couple more. I would like to heard a couple more worlds to go into, which would also mean more maps to fight on.
What I was thinking was I was thinking of keeping it at 11, because like at 5 is where you go to the Enchanted Forest and you find out about the darkness. And then 10 is the world between, and then 11 is the big boss fight. And then with each DLC, you unlock another level. Mm-hmm. Basically, where you're not fighting the darkness, but like it's the villain of that world, or some problem that you need to figure out. With each DLC or free download, you get more.
Yeah, and I also like your plan with the DLC too. Yeah. It just feels like natural progression, and most fighting games are going to have character DLC anyways.
Yeah, because like Super Smash Bros., you get the character DLCs, and then you have to pay for them, and I don't like that. I'd rather unlock things, which I know a lot of people is for, but I think that you would still, since it's a thing that people are actively having to keep developing, I think there should be some characters that are behind a paywall, so you can still be making money off of it aside from just
and that way you can keep the game going.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I have that paywall, and it's only for certain characters. So it'd be like for I don't know, but
so
like
the genie.
Genie. For example, the genie. Although he's a character in the base game, but like for example, you unlock Agrabah, the genie is a paid character, but all the other ones are free.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start off by saying really surprised. You just went with the story, and honestly, I love it. And I mean, you said you didn't. I mean, you already kind of touched upon it, but you said you didn't really think about a roster, but you technically did.
That's why I didn't write out. I probably should have worded it better. I didn't worry about writing out a roster because of how I had the story laid out in my mind. Yeah, it's that you would assume the characters are added to the roster from the storyline.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting story. I wouldn't mind just watching the story, if not playing it. I feel like I have to talk about the lamp because you didn't. Holy fuck! What a great idea.
Yeah.
I like it more so of the idea of it just like a door opens up and you can't see anything. It's blinding light, and then all of a sudden just you hear the ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. Dear God, what's that? And it finally comes out of the light, and it's the lamp, and Mickey's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I figured you wanted to talk about the lamp more. I just like the idea of how they incorporated into the story.
Yeah.
And you did remind me, though, or made me think of another thought I had. And this is kind of a similar complaint I had about Krais' Pitch for his Disney Universe remake. I would have just liked to see more recent franchises added to it.
I was thinking about that, but honestly, I personally am not a fan of a lot of the ones that are coming out. And the ones that I do, I just don't remember the names of. So honestly, I was going through and I was looking through like all these ones I was thinking of. So like, I have, like originally I was going to have like Moana was going to be like one of the original ones, but I was like, I'm just going to go through the ones that I feel like are more iconic. And then like, I was also thinking of going to like ancient China for Mulan and stuff, but I was already in ancient Greece and Hawaii. I already had the idea of going to ancient Greece and Hawaii and stuff like this. So I was thinking more of like these newer characters are brought into these older worlds. It's basically what I was thinking, but I just didn't have time to flesh it out.
And I was thinking, like, at least with Moana, you could either throw her at the Hawaii stage,
Yeah,
because
that's what I was thinking.
Islander,
Yeah.
or if you had some sort of snowy area,
Yeah.
that would be a weird.
Like, it could be like
added to your
Arendelle,
weird,
yeah. I was thinking, yeah, I wanted to do stuff like that. I just didn't have. I just really had to focus on like what's the ones I think of, and then also the Enchanted Forest level 5, and then the world between level 10 lets you access just a ton of characters that don't fit, that wouldn't really interact in an interesting way in the other levels. And the world between would unlock the entire roster at the end of it, because the next level you go in with the entire roster. And I like the idea of all the characters introduced are playable, but some of them you just can't do. Like Lilo is not going to be a playable character.
No.
I thought Gaston would make an appearance, but he wouldn't be a playable character. Like stuff like that.
Yeah. There's
And
plenty of characters like that.
There's-
all across fighting games.
Yeah, because like as much as I'd like to have those options, it gets redundant for sure.
Krais, anything else?
There's one more thing I forgot. Another game mode I did make. 1v1, where it's a lot more like Mortal Kombat, where it's one person, and then you can have like a backup character for like a special move. You could have like two kind of thing.
Okay, so it's kind of like the Mortal Kombat 1, where you have like a cameo fighter.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
you call in for.
Yes.
It's not necessarily tag mode, but it's a tag assist.
Yeah, basically that. And then there's you do that, and there's a My Hero Academia fighting game that you can do that with two different characters. And then basically you fill up their meters, and then you can do these super powerful attacks. I had that like as an option as well. And if the characters interact well, like Mickey is your main, and then you have Goofy and Donald as your backups. They have like a special cut thing for their special move type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had that as another option.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else to talk about. I think you did a good job.
Cool. Well, overall, not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like this one is definitely one that definitely needed more than 30 minutes to finish
Yeah,
out.
for sure.
It almost made me think of like, are there certain prompts where we do like 45 minutes instead? But I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I like
think
the
it
30
needs to
minutes because it really does that crunch.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that pressure. Of
Yeah,
how much I
same
can
here.
in 30 minutes.
Like I hate it while I'm doing it, but I
Yeah.
like the idea of like, what can we get out of? A reminder, like we have a premise and then we have 30 minutes to flesh it out, and that's it. It's not like we spin the wheel and then we record a week later and like, oh, these are all these ideas I had.
Yeah.
We have 30 minutes to do it, and I think that's what's so great about this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, with that, shall we see what the next prompt will be?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
All right. Let's see what we got.
Oh God, I have another prediction. It's not going to be good. I don't like the face.
What's your prediction?
I mean, I don't have a specific prompt. I just don't. I have a good feeling about the next one.
Well, we're going to stick on theme with video games because our next prompt is extreme sports video game.
Interesting. I don't even remember that being on the wheel.
Yeah, that was one of the original ones.
Okay.
Basically,
We can't talk about. It's just
basically just take any real life sport that you have and then bring it to the extreme to whatever that means to you.
in the form of a video game.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Football
Okay.
X7.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel like this one could be fun.
Yeah.
I need to think.
I think it's also like it doesn't like keep us to a specific IP. It's not like a DC one or a Marvel one or a Disney one. It's not like that. It can be a generic one,
Yeah.
and I like that because I don't think we've really done that. I think we've all done outside the first one, second, all of the ones before outside of the reality TV show one. It's been like stick to this franchise. Yeah.
Well, we got lucky though with that because
Uh-oh.
we were so close to like maybe one more slight movement, and we would have been on create your own Batman trilogy.
Oh, I don't think we need to do that yet. Yeah.
Nah.
I was kind of excited. We haven't done a trilogy in a little bit,
Yeah.
but also Batman.
Yeah.
I will say I do like the prompt. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
It's just I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to make a good idea.
I need a premise. Yeah. That's.
Yeah,
gonna be,
I'm like, yeah,
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
But yeah, thank you all for listening to this. This one was a fun one, and
Yeah.
just let us know what would you like to see in a Disney platform fighter, and let us know whose game would you prefer to play. Would you like one of Jyck or Krais's where it's focused solely on Disney and Pixar characters, Or would you like to see something along the lines of my game where it has all of Disney's IP, including Marvel and Star Wars and Avatar?
Yeah. What are some characters you feel like we should have included and not, and that we should have included but didn't? Yeah.
Or some maps that we didn't include.
Or the reverse of yours, Jack. What characters do you think shouldn't be in there? Like Stitch. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, let us know.
Honestly, I'm more surprised that Jack and I gave more love to Stitch than Krais.
Yeah, I was expecting... Like, I made him, like, one of the final places to unlock before, like, the big boss.
All right. Well, have fun.
Oh boy!
Thanks for listening to the Three Not So Wise Men. Krais Baker, Jack Green, and Austin Michaelis. Shout out to Louis Trotter for the awesome theme music. Have a good one, y'all.